I understand why they're doing it. I'm not a fan of it.
Why?
I think it takes away from, kind of like they do with baseball and everything else. It's taking the money and putting that before the game and the love of the game. I believe so. The only thing I would like to see is if they earned as past champions, that kind of stuff, that they should be allowed to play in certain tournaments. I don't think it'll be the last we see of him at an Open. I think it'll be possibly the last Open here for it. It'll be another 5 years. I just don't know if he's going to be able to hold it together and play respectably.
He's terrible for the game. Yeah, I think I agree with Tiger and the rest of them. The guys have gone purely for the money. It's a lot of money, but do I want to watch it? Probably not. Golf's all about tradition, which is why we're here this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. They've got to do something. Yeah. We don't agree with it. It takes from the tradition, and ultimately it'll become us versus them. Well, his legacy is going to be amazing, and I think if he can come back, he will. Especially if he can win something. This could be him. The Masters and this is made for Tiger.
The greatest of all time, him and Nicklaus, just amazing. And he transcended the game. He brought in so many millions of fans, really just increased the popularity of the sport. Physically, we hope he's not the last Open, and mentally he's the strongest athlete on the planet. So hopefully he could use that mental energy and overcome the car accident, and hopefully he could continue going forward.
Oh, well, we're big Tiger fans. Stanford Golf, he's been a huge inspiration. His incredible story. So we want Tiger to win. Yeah, I completely agree. I think to his final Open, I'm not quite sure about that. I think he's still got a couple left in him. And he's still always just going to be, his legacy is going to be him growing the game, his competitiveness, him being just completely dominant over the years, and then returning with the 2019 Masters. Just that'll be his legacy, just overcoming obstacles and just coming back and winning. Personally, I don't think it's good for the game. I feel like that the PGA Tour, while they do need to make some changes to help some of the players that they are complaining about not receiving as much as some of the other top players, the whole LIV Golf situation is it's just not good for the game. Really just playing for money. It's not really about that. It's about beating the best, competing with the best players. So that's where I stand on that, at least.
I echo my son and Tiger yesterday. I mean, they're basically paying. It's an exhibition, really. I mean, they've got guaranteed money, and what's the incentive to practice, to improve your game, and to really elevate the game of golf? So it really is sad that so many people, some of the top golfers have left. I don't think it's good for the game.
I would say that if there were certain situations where they break some rules or they break a commitment to the PGA Tour, then in that case they should not be allowed to return. But if they want to compete on the tour and commit themselves, then I think that they should be allowed to stay. But most of these guys, they've really just left for the money, and so that's why they shouldn't be allowed to return.
The people that have moved to that, they've made so much money out of the game, and they now have left it to go to play in another sort of grouping now. And we actually saw Lee Westwood this morning, and people weren't. It's a shame to see, because sad. He was always a very popular character, and nobody was even really acknowledging him. And it's sad to see. Yes. I think so, yes, I have to say.
Wholeheartedly,
yes.
And
I think they were right to not allow Greg Norman here as well. I think they were right to do that too. Yeah, I think so, definitely. If they've deserted the tour that made them who they are and made them what they are, then really they chose to desert it. So why? It's a very divisive subject, isn't it? And everybody, you can look at it from both sides. It's a shame it's happened. It really is a shame it happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because like Mick said there, you're looking at guys who are trying to make a living on the tour, struggling to keep their cards. You don't want these guys coming in across them, having earned millions elsewhere on like I said, a tour that means absolutely nothing. I don't think they have a future in anything to do with the PGA or the European Tour. You know, I don't think. You know, I think it's time that both tours stood up and said, look, enough is enough. If you want to go off and play in this money grabbing, whatever you want to call it, tour, off you go. But there's no room for you here. It's a shame to see him finish career after such a great career so early, because there was so much more in him, I suppose. Sure, look, that's just a life, you know. He probably redefined the game really, because the way he hit the ball and made other guys think about it, you know. So
well, Greg Norman is doing what Kerry Packer did with cricket a number of years ago, and everyone poo-pooed him and said, you know, this is the worst thing that ever happened to cricket, and look what's happened to cricket. I mean, it is amazing. It's changed the game. Now, unfortunately, sport is now driven by money, and that's the worst thing about it.
So do you think the PGA were right to ban the players, the renegade
Yes.
players?
I'm a rules man. Well, God, we're at the home of rules here, aren't we? No, they've got to, they've got to come to their senses and say, you know, are we doing this for the right thing or the wrong thing? They've got to, there's been a lot of criticism in the media about whether whether they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And everyone's allowed to say what they feel. I mean, that's democracy, isn't it? To the people, for the people, by the people. Okay, go for it.
What do I?
Sort of indifferent about it, really. It seems to be players at the end of their career mainly. I don't know, maybe if some big names start going in, it could be a real challenge to the PGA Tour, but at the moment it's almost a little bit of a sideshow. Will it grow? I'm not too sure about it, but I don't know, we'll wait and see. I think so. I think they probably needed to make a statement. You've got to show a bit of force, right? So yeah, it's good they've done that, and they've stuck with the DP World Tour, offered some more places up. It's quite nice for that. I don't think ban them from all majors, certainly not. I mean, the Opens are the Opens for a reason. Some of the guys that are in it, everyone loves to see. Poulter, DeChambeau driving greens, Koepka is always in contention. It would be quite a statement to say, no, you can't be in it anymore, but I'm happy that they're here. I mean, if he won, it would be unbelievable, but yeah, I mean, I think he's still got it in him for another one, to be fair, so this is maybe his last chance as a win, but who knows?
I think it will be his last. Like I say, he's improved over the last few years. He's probably ended up being quite a good legacy for Tiger.
Yeah, I think, really good. I mean, he was a little bit Marmite, as you can see, earlier on in his career. I think you either loved or hate him, but I mean, there's no doubt he's produced some really stunning wins over his whole career. So
but
I think
he's had such a huge impact on golf. I mean, the Americans just love him to bits. You can see that in the television that we watch. That's over here.
Yeah, a bit Marmite.
But fantastic golfer. I don't really care, because it won't go anywhere. If they're not getting rankings, then those players won't be allowed to play in the major tournaments, and they won't have it. You know, although we've got a few here for the moment, when the time comes, if they don't have the rankings, they won't get into these tournaments. They will want to play the majors. You're not going to have a legacy unless you win the majors.
The people that are playing in the LIV tournaments are the people that aren't going to make it in the PGA Tour or the European Tour. Well, it has been.
Yeah, they're not going to be legacy golfers. When you look back at the great golfers, they've won the majors, and that's what's given them the kudos, not necessarily the dollars.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
It was probably the right decision at this moment in time, because I think you've got to see how it's all going to play out. I think you've got to maybe start a little bit harder, and then they might soften up later on. It's a difficult decision, clearly, at this moment in time. But I think on balance, yes.